Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For today we are making chickpeas hummus, and this is pre-cooked chickpeas in a tin with already in a brine. So what I simply did was empty out the chickpeas in a bowl, added some water. This is optional. To me, it just helps to loosen out all those the thing it came with. Is it the brine? I don't know, the water it came with. And then I added some salt, and then what I am going to do is to put it in the microwave to warm up. Now people can do this the other way, where you blend the chickpeas first and then warm it up or eat it cold, but I just simply prefer this way. One thing about warming up One thing about warming up your chickpeas, I warmed it up for about 3 minutes. But one thing about warming it up is I find that it makes it for a smoother texture than having it cold or blending it cold. So yeah, it just gives a smoother, kind of thicker consistency, I find. Anyways, what I did was just drain out the water, and I'll be using some of those waters later, and then I let the chickpeas cool before I decided to blend. So using the water that I drained out, which has not cooled down, I just put it in the blender to blend and added some normal water, warm water to say, and then I started blending with little water, if you notice, and that's simply to loosen up the chickpeas. So on the pulse side is why I started blending, because I wanted my chickpeas to be thick in consistency. I didn't want to go ahead adding too much liquid. Okay, so what I showed you is the olive oil that I'm using, extra olive oil, and I'll be adding that into the blender to blend it with the chickpeas. And I also added basil leaf. So all this is to kind of give you a taste, a richer taste. And then added a bit more water to make it easier for the blender to blend it. So I'll just say, if you don't want it to be thick, then you can always add more liquid and don't have to struggle with your blender. But yeah, so at this point you can see it's blending a little bit. We still have little bits to it. As I wanted smoother consistency, I chose to continue blending. That's just me trying to ensure that it's well blended. Yeah, so that's the smooth consistency that I wanted, and that was it. So the next thing I did was to just get out the blended chickpeas, which has now turned into hummus, and I'll be eating it with flatbread, which I made homemade as well, and I'll be showing you very soon how I made that one as well. So voila. What I did was added more extra virgin olive oil. I just think the more oil I have, I don't know why, it just makes it puff off. It has a different texture and richness that it gives to it. Using this olive oil actually gives it a nice subtle taste, and then the basil leaf also gives it a taste. So yeah, so but if you want to, you can eat it like this, you can eat it plain, but if you want to season it out for yourself. But I was happy with this, and then I garnished it with the basil leaf. Okay, that's just for making things pretty. I showed this as part of a lunch idea for those who want to have lunch, and please don't forget that this forms part of our diabetics health promotion that I'm doing. So the second part of this video is simply showing you the flatbread that I made at home. Now, I'm not an expert in this. This is a way I found to make my own flatbread. So, I mean, I'm just showing you my own recipe. but if you know a better recipe, just follow that one. So what I simply did was measured out some all-purpose flour, and then added some salt, and then added 2.5 teaspoons of sugar, because you do not want it to be too sugary, but you still don't want it salty or just plain. And then to it I added olive oil. Not everyone adds this, I realize, but I think every man to the way they cook, and this is the way I have found. Okay, that works for me. So I measured out 2 teaspoons and a little bit, but I mean the drips makes it 3. But listen, cook your own way. Sometimes I add butter, but to this recipe I decided to add oil. You can equally use vegetable oil, or any other oil that you prefer. So what you would do is to incorporate that oil, and again into the flour and form into a dough by using warm water. Okay, and mixing until it gathers into a little form of a dough, just like that. But it hasn't gathered properly. This is it gathering. So just keep kneading. You have to knead. Okay, you can knead on a flat surface, but because I have a big bowl like this, I didn't feel the need to do so. Yeah, so it's clean. That's how you know. Anywho's, and then I decided to make sure that the dough chills before I started making it into a flatbread, to say. I added some more olive oil to just make sure that it doesn't stick to the bowl, and then I covered it with cling film, and then I left it in the fridge for about 30 to 1 hour to rest before I started making it. So after coming out from the fridge, I brought it out and then divided it into little parts. Before doing that though, I just needed to knead the dough again, just to make sure if there's any air bubbles that was created, that was gone, or just make sure that it's smooth as you see it. And then I divided it into parts, or little parts that is doable, that I can definitely make the flatbread from. Make sure you flour your surface. This particular thing that I'm using, which is a mat for bakery sort of thing, is quite good. It just means that you do not have to use your work surface every single time to make it, and yeah, I like it. So what I simply did was just take one of the cut out dough, and then what I'm doing there, to be honest, I just saw this somewhere and I thought to practice it. According to them, this just helps to give it layers. I'm not sure how it goes, but hey. So yeah, make it into a little thing like that. You don't have to do all this. You can literally just pinch the dough into little and then put it. So yeah, and then basically I left that to cool because it was coming out of the fridge, so I left it to cool for some time. If you notice the layers, you see the layers, those that little ring cave. And yeah, I just sprayed some oil that I already have, and that's because to stop it from sticking. And I'll advise that if your dough is sticking at this point, try not to use too much flour, because it just makes everything thick and makes it that it's not as soft and yummy that it should be. So definitely use oil as your alternative. So in a already very heated pan, okay, I just place the flatbread and let it bubble up. This is one of the good ways to know that your thing is making. Sometimes it doesn't have to bubble up, not all of them bubbles up, but just make do with what you have. And turn it over, buttering the side as you see here, and then the other side will be buttered when you take it out. This gives it a nice flavor as well. Yeah, so very much that is done, and butter the other side, and that's it. That's the other one I made. And then so this is how mine came out. See how soft and easy to tear it was. If you like, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Signing off. Talk on soon.